So,
yeah, please start. Or not. We're trying to get interpretation. 1 second, sorry.
we're live already.
I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. So I will just do a quick introduction. So hi everyone. It's really great. So I'll just start by just naming the session. I think we've seen each other in the previous session as well. It's called Building Bridges for Stronger Movements, Perspective of Feminist, Trans, and Gender Diverse Activists. So we're so thankful to have our friends here in New York doing this experiment with us, and also having our friends in Bangalore, right? So maybe what we can do is a quick round of introductions, and then I can do a bit of the introductions of the objectives and why we are here. I think it's pretty clear to all of us, but maybe we can just say that again, right? So yeah, I'm wondering who here wants to start first, and then we can switch to our colleagues in Bangalore back and forth.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, you can see me.
Yes. Hi.
My name is Ricky Nathanson. I am the Senior Advisor of the Global Trans Program at Outright International. Outright is a global human rights organization that looks at bettering the lives of LGBTIQ people everywhere in the world. We were formed in 1990. We have staff in more than 15 countries around the world, totaling just under 50 people, so we do work globally. Predominantly in the global south, mainly in Africa, Asia, and we're also doing a bit of work in a lot of work supporting the Ukraine crisis. I am originally from Zimbabwe in Africa, Southern Africa, but I now live in Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Fantastic. Duha, do you want to go next?
Hi everyone, I'm Duha. My pronouns are they and them. I am one of the co-founders of a collective based out of India known as Intersex, Human Rights India. We are a pan-Indian organization working towards collective betterment of intersex people. I am a molecular biologist and I'm so happy to be here. Yay.
Umaira, sorry, I feel like our interpretation is not working and we are struggling with that piece. Interpretation. It's not working. Yeah. I am also on it, so it's not.
Victoria C. Search the page. Say
that again.
Search the page. That's what Victoria say, but I'm not sure if maybe we've done that.
It's not working for us. Sorry.
See,
and we have a few Kannada speakers.
Okay.
It is working now. It is working for me. I think she needs to.
For Uma, it's working.
Okay, for Uma, it's working.
Yeah, you want my phone?
Yeah. I'm connected to it.
Good. There are 2 Kannada speakers here, so please give us like a moment.
Okay.
Yeah. We can also fill this awkward silence with something else.
Yeah. Like, Duha and I were admiring your clothes and your accessories. Of you, I'm like taking
I feel like y'all really came to this space. Like,
We
I love it.
desperately need queer energy and you're vibrating just
yeah, we felt the vibe as soon as we entered. Some like,
And I think we are quite color coordinated somehow. Yeah, all the queers show up actually knowing what to wear together.
Maybe you should
Speaking.
performance.
Thank you.
The Phoenix.
Oh my God, that's phenomenal. I love
yeah,
it so much.
beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Very nice.
Slay.
So, any more performances?
I'm performing actually.
Oh, the connection is.
It's frozen.
I feel like I've never said sorry so many times except this week. Like,
Don't.
It's okay.
It's not the internet.
Is it working? Huh? We are on, please.
Yes, I
think
We cleared the phone and the connection also.
so. Awesome. So we will have another round from you, right?
Yeah.
Another
So,
round.
go ahead, Ellie.
Yeah, so my name is Eli Rubashkin. I work as the intersex program officer in ILGA World. ILGA World is the largest LGBTI organization with over 1,800 civil society organizations that we work especially at the UN and with the treaty bodies and in general the human rights ecosystem. I am originally from Colombia and I live in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and that's the place where I came from. And I'm very glad to be able to meet you. Thank you.
So, folks from Bangalore?
Yeah, Ritash.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Ritash. I'm asexual, gender fluid, and pan-romantic. I'm the Associate Director at Solidarity Foundation. We work with non-English speaking, social, economically disadvantaged, gender and sexual minorities, essentially LGBTQIA plus people and sex workers and people living with HIV, and also with at the intersection of sexuality and disability, essentially like people with different identities. In 4 southern states in India, more than capacity building, documenting narratives and all that. I personally, of course, it's wonderful to be here and connect. I personally, always say I've moved from writing software programs to people and places stories. Like I qualified as a computer science engineer, and then after 14 years in the corporate, IT industry, I worked for 8 years as a human rights journalist. And after that, I came to the non-profit world. Yeah. So great connecting with you all. Frozen?
No, they're back.
Okay.
So hi, my name is Eve Woodward. I am a gender non-conforming feminist from Nairobi, Kenya. I work with an organization called the Gay and Lesbian Coalition of Kenya, but now we're called GovPlus. We are based in Kenya and I'm currently in
Can you say your name again? I don't think I can. I caught it.
Eve Woodward.
Okay, thanks. Uma?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Uma. I'm a trans woman. I prefer she. Basically, I was born, brought up in small village. Now, past 23 years, I'm working with LGBTQI community rights. And last 2012, I formed myself organization called Jiva. Jiva is Jiva. Basically, we are working for creating a platform for all LGBT people can openly they can express their gender identity and sexual orientation, because in the society there is no platform to express their gender and sexuality. That kind of work I'm doing it. My English is very basic, and if some grammar is mistake, please excuse me. And also, we are mainly focusing on mental health issues, and we are lobbying with judiciary, and we are lobbying with political parties, and also we are creating a awareness about LGBTQI community among the society. Thank you.
I just want to check that Bangalore, the interpretation is okay.
It's coming and going. I think we'll work with it. We'll let you know at some points if it gets very difficult. We'll let you know. Yeah.
Also, other people are not hearing us. Let us know. Because we don't want to continue with other people. Then we can
Say that again.
You can't. The interpretation isn't coming through. Let us know. We can stop for a minute as well to let you sort it out. Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds
Yeah,
good. Thanks.
okay.
Thanks.
So, yeah, I think it's our end here. Can you go?
Yeah, I can go. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
everyone, my pronouns are they, them. I am a queer author, activist, and writer. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm the founder of the first and the largest public queer archive in Bangladesh called Monjo, which is also a feminist queer culture organization. Right now, I have moved to Oregon for my master's at Oregon State University. I'm working as a graduate teaching assistant as well, doing my master's in women, gender, and sexuality. And I'm really glad that I'm here and really excited for this panel. Thank you.
You want to go next?
Yeah. Hi there. I'm Nishchal. My pronouns are they and them. I work with Sangama as a program officer. I work on a project for skilling, people who are in, like people from the urban poor community and the people who belong to LGBTQIA plus community. And I also work with people affected with HIV and their children and sex workers.
You next.
Is it me? Hi, everyone. Lovely to see you. I'm Dan X. I'm the program manager of a very interesting department with a very large name at ILGA World. It's called Gender Identity, Gender Expression, and Sex Characteristics, which means that we work with trans, gender diverse, and also intersex communities. It's a quite recent program for ILGA World. We exist already for 5 years, but we've been growing. I work together with my colleague Eli Hubashkin, also known as Phoenix. Phoenicia. And yeah, so I'm a non-binary person. I am originally from Sao Paulo, from Brazil. And I'm also based in Sao Paulo in Brazil. And yeah, I'm also a tarot reader and mother
Love
of
it.
2 cats. Yeah.
Love it. We have one person. Spurti, introduce.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿ.
Introduce yourself.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಸಂಗಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಟಿಜಿ ಸಮುದಾಯ ಹಾಗೂ ಸೆಕ್ಸ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಗಳ ಜೊತೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಸೇವಾ ಸವಲತ್ತು ಮತ್ತೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಿಂದ ಸಿಗುವ ಕೆಲವು ಸೌಲಭ್ಯಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನ ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ.
So we're having problem with interpretation here. We can't hear.
Yeah, please. It's not available. So it's working for me. Can you try it? We can have Spurti introduce themselves again.
Yes, that's on English.
Yes, English.
And then what?
It should be immediately, right? Okay.
Interpretation is not available.
Yes, I'm getting the same message.
So you'll have to be on the English channel.
Can you give it a try so that you can Canada just to see if it works?
Somebody just did, and it didn't work.
Okay. Can you just look at that now?
Okay, we'll get through this.
Yeah.
Can you speak again?
Spurti, reintroduce, sorry. Yeah, Kavita, please. I'm also like talking to my interpreter. Yeah. Yeah, please go for it. Yes, can hear. No, she won't be able to hear you. Reintroduce. So we are doing Spurti's introduction again. So
Yeah, let's start again with introduction. Sorry.
No problem. We are doing well. Yeah, please.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿ ಅಂತ. ನಾನೊಬ್ಳು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಮಹಿಳೆ. ನಾನು ಸಂಗಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಟಿಜಿ ಸಮುದಾಯ ಮತ್ತು ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ಸ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಗಳ ಜೊತೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಸೇವಾ ಸವಲತ್ತು ಹಾಗೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಿಂದ ಸಿಗುವ ಕೆಲವು ಸೌಲಭ್ಯಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವ್ರ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ನಾವು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
Okay. No? Then shall I just translate?
Could hear?
No, we need to fix it.
Oh, could hear. Great, awesome. You could hear, right, Umaira? And
Complex phase.
yeah. I am going to introduce myself. I don't know if you did. And
No,
then
not yet. Go first.
okay, hi, I'm Dea. I work within the resourcing feminist movement at AVID. I'm gender non-binary. My pronouns are they, them. So excited to be here. I feel like we should have brought more colors into this portal. But hopefully the next time, you all look amazing.
Thank you so much. I'll introduce myself very quickly. My name is Umaira Ahmad. I'm from Malaysia. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm with Advancing Women's Rights and Justice AWID. I'm so glad to be here and have all the folks in New York and Bangalore and try this new thing you're doing, but I'm really thinking that it's like, yeah, it's such an exciting thing. So I'm really happy to see you. Okay.
I'm sorry. This is so we will need to figure this out because interpretation is not working for us again. Unfortunately. Working?
Victoria is saying sorry there. Victoria, keep on trying to refresh it.
Yeah. I feel like we all know that and we are panicking.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the only thing that's been
working. It's working, but we'll have to time and again stop.
Slow. That's all. Refresh.
Say that again, Umaira.
Victoria saying it could be a connectivity issue.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But let's start the meat of the conversation.
Oh, so she's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just start with why we're here and all of this, right?
Oh.
So basically, we're here because I think we're at a juncture of a lot of different crises that are happening. I think from the external kind of environment, we have the anti-trans, religious fundamentalist, nationalist, far-right attacks are happening, which are also manifesting in our own movements. And I think we're all feeling the impact of it in different countries around the world, but also the global spaces that we are working in, right? So I think it's a really important time that we come together across, the different challenges that we face in accessing spaces, advocacy spaces at the national level, at the international level. So as AWID, we are really happy to facilitate this conversation as a feminist organization who's also invested in not just supporting queer movements, but also queering our own feminist movements, right? Because that's what we want to do. So I would like to open with a question, and I think I've shared with all of you, is I'd like us to talk a bit more about the context that we're in. And from all of you, to understand what the specific patterns of attacks that we're seeing at this moment. Because I think we've talked about religious fundamentalism, we're seeing it pop up in different places, but I really love to hear from y'all, like what are the specific trends that you're seeing in your context? So I don't know, you think you want to start first, maybe, and then we can go to folks in Bangalore. Does that sound good?
Done, makes sense.
ಒಂದು ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದ್ ಗಂಡು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದ್ ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಅಂದ್ರೆ
And then we can go to you, Uma.
Makes sense, yeah.
I have written down my points, so I'm looking and I don't need to and go on too long. So you see me looking down, I'm just referring to my notes. Yeah. But
would you also speak up? I think the volume here, would you also speak up? I'm very sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Also, some of the patterns we and I'll speak for Kenya specifically at this point, is the increase of anti-gender, anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ+ rights organizing. In the past, we knew that we had opposition and there were specific people scattered but now it feels like they have organized and they are moving together as a block. And in the past 5 years, something we've noticed, we've also noticed that they're being funded, right? Because, for example, when we were going to court, we had organizations who are opposing us, sitting in court and challenging us. So this means that there are people paying them and there's somebody footing the bill, right? So since the pandemic started, and even now, as time has gone by, we've seen the online space become very violent and volatile. And we've seen copy paste of language. So for example, what the right-wing Republicans have been saying about trans people, now we see Kenyan politicians echoing the same language, right? Copy pasting exactly what fundamentalists are saying about us. See platforms like Twitter that in my country were used to organize by feminists, by LGBTQ+ people, by trans and gender non-conforming people. Twitter was one of the platforms that we used to organize and to mobilize. Now we see those social media platforms completely turn fascist, where even when you report, for example, hateful comments, it's not taken down. We see our opposition having a louder voice, because now people have become bold. It's okay to be anti-trans. It's okay to say transphobic and homophobic and queerphobic things online. It's okay to create a platform based on hate, right? Because we see hateful people now becoming super famous. We see bigoted people becoming, like, having platforms and podcasts that are giving them money, and they're using the online space to mobilize people against us. So those are some of the trends we've seen. We've also seen that the hate that is online translating to physical harm. So for example, a politician in Kenya going online and saying very problematic, transphobic, queerphobic, and homophobic things online. And then we see queer people, LGBTQ+ people on the ground being attacked, right? You see people being violence that was online translating into the physical space and more, and the country becoming such an unsafe space for queer people, and specifically trans and gender non-conforming people being particularly targeted, right? Also seen antagonizing of gender diverse people. So for example, the use of pronouns is something that for our community was something to affirm gender diverse people, to affirm gender non-conforming and trans people. And now we see the use of pronouns, for example, they, them, being something that is used to antagonize us, right? Where our opposition now particularly target gender non-conforming people, removing us from the larger LGBTQ+ movement and being like, this is the reason why you're being targeted. These people are the reason why you're not advancing. So divide and conquer type of within this organizing. And the final thing is the online space is shrinking. So organizations like mine that used social media for advocacy a lot, right? Like online is where we did our campaigns and we mobilized and we activated. Now being spaces where we are attacked, we are targeted, our content being pulled down, we have people anti what we are doing, having access to us, and we are not having any sort of protection. There was a time where Twitter was a place where if you were outrightly protected, you will be deplatformed. Remember when they removed even leaders and presidents from the platform? But now it's not that. Now they're bringing them back. They're like, you're a bigot, please come. This is this is just for you. So that means that our visibility is shrinking. Our the work that you're doing is being overshadowed by all the drama and hate and bigotry. And they're kicking us out. I feel like that is the message that they're sending is, this is not the space for you. Find another platform to organize. This is a space like us. Yeah, and it's been really sad to see mainstream feminists as well echoing the same sentiment, where people who we looked up to as feminists and as leaders are now parroting the same anti-trans things that the bigots and the right-wing people are saying about us. It's been a really heartbreaking trend to observe.
Loved your point about othering the other. When you said, like using our pronouns to other us when we are already othered. I feel like that's such a great point. I held on to that. Do we open up Bangalore as well? Uma, you want to go?
See, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಅವ್ರು ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ as it is.
Are you all ready with your interpretation devices?
Refreshing.
I feel like there is a lag, there is a small lag that happens. We should just run with it.
Whatever things ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವರು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಏನ್ ನಡೀತಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲೂ ನಾವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಗಿದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಆ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ನಾವು ಎದುರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಆಗ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಮಹಿಳಾ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಯನ್ನ ನಾವು ಆಚರಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ ಮಹಿಳಾ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ವುಮೆನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅದು ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೋಡೋ ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಇದು ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಸಿವ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಆ ಕಾಣಿಸೋದಿಕ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಒಬ್ರನ್ನ ಇಬ್ರುನು ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂರಿಸಿ ಆ ಮಹಿಳಾ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಯನ್ನ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾವು ಕಾನೂನಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೋರಾಟಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕಾನೂನಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ಸುಮಾರು ವಿಚಾರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ರೆಕಗ್ನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಓನ್ಲಿ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇರೋಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ 2014 ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾಸಾ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಆ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮನ್ನ ತಾವ್ ಏನಂತ ಗುರ್ತಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಈಗ ಆಗ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಈಗ ನಾನು ಶಿ ಅಂತ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಫಿಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಅದರ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಹೀಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತ ಅವ್ರದೇ ಆದಂತ ವೇನಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸಮುದಾಯ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಏನನ್ನ ನಾವು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ನಾವ್ ಏನಂತ ಗುರ್ತಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬಿಡ್ದಿರನೆ ಅವರೇ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂತ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರೋಂಥದ್ದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮೂಲಭೂತವಾದಿಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸುಮಾರು ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಶೋಷಣೆಗಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಲೈಕ್ ವಿಮೆನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾವನೆಗಳಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ವಿಮೆನ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇದಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಬು ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ನಾನು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ವಿಮೆನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಮೂಲಭೂತವಾದಿಗಳೇನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ವಿಮೆನ್ ಅಂತ ಒಪ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅವರು ನೋಡೋ ರೀತಿನೇ ಬೇರೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇವರು ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸಂಘ, ಗೋಜ, 9 ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ನೋಡೋದು ಒಂದ್ ಮಹಿಳೆ ಅಂತಾನೆ ನೋಡಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಒಂದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಎರಡನೇದೇನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಮಹಿಳಾ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಯನ್ನ ಆಚರಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾಸಾ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್, ಇವರು ಕೂಡ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ಅಂತ. ಹಾಗೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಪಾಲಿಸೀಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಸಿವಿಟಿ ಇದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಗೆ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ನ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಿದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಪೇಪರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇರುವಂತದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ ರಾಜಕೀಯವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಬಂದು ವೋಟಿಂಗ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ, ವೋಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ತರ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ದು ನಾವು ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಅವರ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವೋಟಿಂಗ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ LGBTQ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ವೋಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅವರ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವ್ರದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್, ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾರ್ಜಿನೈಸ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಇವರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಅಷ್ಟು ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಗೆಲ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜಕೀಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಿಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇರುವಂತ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಏನು ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳಿದಾವೆ ಅವರು ಬಜೆಟ್ ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ವರ್ಷ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮುದಾಯ ಇರುವಿಕೆನೆ ಅವರು ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಬಜೆಟ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬಜೆಟ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತ ಇದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಅಲೋಕೇಶನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತ ಪಾಲಿಸಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಬಜೆಟ್? ನಾವು ಹೋಗಿ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಅವ್ರು ಹೋಗಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಜೊತೆ ನಾವು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ದೇ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬಜೆಟ್. And regularly we are lobbying with judiciary, we are lobbying with the political parties, and we are lobbying with the government. Always we have to go to speak with them and coming back, speak with them, coming back. This kind of problem is going on. And also some of the feminists, they are not accepting us. That like ಏನು ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮಹಿಳೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ ಒಂದು ಫೆಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಇದಿದೆ, ಏನು ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಇವ್ರು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಾಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಇವ್ರು ಮೆನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇವ್ರು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಾಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಆ ತರ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನ ಅವ್ರು ಹಾಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಹೊರ್ಗಡೆ ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ, ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಒಂಥರ ಭಿಕ್ಷಾ ಹಾಕ್ದಂಗೆ ಒಂದ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಗೆ ನಾಯಿಗೆ ಬಿಸ್ಕೆಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ದಂಗೆ ಒಂದ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡೋವಂತ ಫೆಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ ಇದು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋಂತ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ನಾವು ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಹಿಳೆ ಇವಾಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ನಾಸಾ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಈಗ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ನಾಸಾ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ಲಿ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಅವರು ಏನಂತ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ದೆಮ್ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಆಸ್ ವಿಮೆನ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್. ಬಟ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್, ಆ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ನೋಡುವಾಗ ನಾವು ನಮ್ದೇ ಆದಂತ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಆಸ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ. We are rejected from family, we are rejected from society, we are rejected from all the aspects. We are living with our own community, they are giving respect, they are giving supporting for us. ಆತರ ಕೊಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಯಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಟಿನ ಅವ್ರು ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ದಿರ ಓಡಿಸಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ, ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಯಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ನೋಡೋದು ಯಾರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನ ಸಮುದಾಯ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಮುದಾಯದ ಒಂದು ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಎರಡನೇದು ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ವಿಮೆನ್ ಆಗಿ ನನ್ಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ರೇಪ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಆಗಿ ಈಗ ನೀವೇ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ವಿಮೆನ್ ಅಂತ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ವಿಮೆನ್ ಅಂತ. ಅದೇ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ವಿಮೆನ್ಗೆ ನನ್ಗೆ ರೇಪ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾವು ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ 6 months ಓನ್ಲಿ ಪನಿಷ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್. ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕಮ್ ಟು ದ ವಿಮೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಲಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇದಿದೆ, ಏನು ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಪನಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಬರೀ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಜೆಂಡರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬರೀ 6 months? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್. ಯಾರು ಬಂದು ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಬೇಕು ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾರ್ಜನೈಸ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿನ ಹೇಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಮಾರ್ಜನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾರ್ಜನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಮೇ ಬಿ ಶಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಾನೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
No, I think absolutely. I feel like those were great points. Do we want more voices? That's it.
Yeah, just wondering, Nikki, because we've had some conversations about.
I can hear you. I also wanted to like sort of summarize this to bring us back to the original question. I feel like something that Uma was talking about is like in India we have laws, and how those laws look in actuality is very different. And I think that creates an environment for anti-rights movements to again make certain constituencies more vulnerable, right, to attacks. I feel like there is a structural environment created within India so that people are further marginalized and made vulnerable. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I think also another thing that Uma brought up that I found very interesting is about this, how feminists also understand us. And I think we've had this conversation, right, Nikki, about like how it's also a divide and conquer strategy as well, right? So I'm just wondering if you wanted to speak to that and share a bit more about your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. So if we look at the system of oppression that we face as marginalized LGBTIQ people, particularly in the feminism space, and how cyberspace has been used to actively target and divide us as a homogeneous group of vulnerable population. It really is it's astounding how cleverly it's being done by the patriarchal system, right?
We have an interpretation issue. I feel like you'll probably need to repeat what you said. One moment.
Can your interpreter hear me speaking though? Should I speak up? I have a really bad fault.
You are doing very well. I feel like the app is not in support. No, it's working now. Yeah. Please, can you?
Okay, great. All right. So just to repeat what I was saying. So listening to the conversations earlier, pardon me, of the speakers that have gone before me, it is so evident how the digital space is now being used as a platform for sexism and patriarchy, where we see patriarchy has now infiltrated the digital space.
ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಂತೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ.
The person who is translating is unable to understand.
Okay.
The voice is not audible.
I feel like you'll probably need to raise your volume. Our interpreter can't hear you.
Clear.
The voice is breaking and it's not clear.
Voice is breaking.
Voice is breaking.
Should I speak slower as well and louder?
Slower and louder. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
All right, so can I move to the front?
Yeah.
Please, it's your space.
Okay, great.
Sit with me.
Oh, yes.
Very nice.
Oh, yes. Am I blocking the view?
I need to go here.
Yeah, can see you even better, please.
Okay, great. So what I was saying was listening to the conversations that have gone before me, and I'm sure throughout this conversation, we are looking at how the digital space has perpetuated and condoned attacks against LGBTIQ people on that platform, right? And we are seeing increasingly how the digital space is being used to advance sexism and patriarchy. And we're seeing that the patriarchal system has moved more into the digital space and has also manifested itself even more violently and viciously physically, right? If we look at what's going on. I think Evie spoke to what's happening with Twitter, how Twitter has created, it's started shrinking spaces for people, not only in Kenya, but I would say around the world as a whole, because it's become more accessible. The social media has become such a tool, such a vital and important tool in people's daily lives. If you look at how I'm now reside in the United States, but I'm originally from Africa. When I was back in Africa 5 years ago, social media was used mainly, as Eve said, a way of advocating and organizing, whereas now it's being used more of as a weapon against the LGBTIQ people, right? I attended a session on Monday where one of the speakers spoke. They were from West Africa, and where they said that TikTok is being used by the opposition to perpetrate murder and the killings of trans women, and that's manifested itself in that way. If you look at what's happening in Pakistan with the pushback on the Trans Protection Act against the trans people of Pakistan, they are using trans leaders on a very vicious online campaign to again advance the cause of the far right Islamist Sharia party. So I think we need to take a step back and interrogate the sole existence of the digital society and also look at cybersecurity. The United Nations, I think it was in 2016, said that, let me get my facts right. They said that everybody needs access, everyone should have access to an affordable, equal and unconditional cybersecurity. That information on these platforms should be freely disseminated, including safe SRHR, as well as sex education and rights for everybody. So if we look at what's going on currently in the world, we are seeing that being driven by the far-right anti-gender movement, all these, our adversaries, and I'm speaking not only politicians, I'm speaking to the radical feminists, I'm speaking to the J.K. Rowlings of this world, and I call her out. I'm speaking to all these people. They are all banding together and they are fighting against us, right? And we're seeing such. I never even thought in my lifetime, when I thought 15 years ago upon transition that life would get better, that it would only get worse. And you know, we need to interrogate, and we also need to start thinking now as organizers and as activists and as advocates, how do we fight this very vicious and violent system that's so against us? We need to start thinking differently, and we need to start thinking wisely. Go back to the root cause. So how many of us in this room or sitting in Bangalore, how many of us know how to write programs? How many can code? How many can own our own space? And I think that's the direction that we're moving in now. I'm not sure if I've gone off the topic, Omera, but I tend to speak a lot, and when I speak a lot, my mind rambles and I say a lot of things.
I love it. Please go on.
Yes, not.
Sorry, Nikki, I just wanted to ask that if you could speak more to the feminist.
Yes, the feminist discourse, yeah. So if we also look at what's happening currently, so if you look at the LGBTIQ as a homogenous group, we are all in different silos of life, right? And we're all fighting the same system of patriarchy and fascism and sexism and all these negative isms that we're fighting against. At the same token, we are fighting for the same legal resources. There's not enough funding to go around to support one trans woman, let alone 2 gay men and 3 lesbian women, right? So what's going on now is the system of oppression has realized that, and they are dividing us to conquer, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the stipulations of funders, they are specific to certain certain programs we need to implement. So you can only talk, but oh, I won't give you $1 to see how you can fight cybercrime, right? So we're all fighting for that $1 to fight HIV, but what about how do we get money to implement legal gender recognition? How do we get money to fight cybercrime? How do we get money to fight back at those groups and those people in the digital space that are trying to kill us? And that's something we need to interrogate. So when we look at feminism and attacks on feminisms, we need to look at the bigger picture of oppression. We need to look at who's the adversary, and that really is patriarchy, and it manifests itself in so many ways, and so cleverly it's done. I'm not sure if I've answered that question.
Yes, I think I think you.
I feel like, I'm sorry. So my work is with money and movements, and you said money, you said resources, and I got super excited. I feel like whatever you said resonates. I feel like there were a lot of heads nodding here, and a lot of like things going. I also told myself pre this session that there will be no mention of J.K. Rowling, but you did. Like every time someone mentions her, we should like fund like 5 organizations.
Absolutely. The thing is, I live in a safe country, so I don't think I'll be shot down in the street outside New York. So I'll shot from the Empire State Building.
This was amazing. Do you want some voices like we have?
Yeah, I was wondering, Ritash, also you look like you were very excited.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
Yes, because I can completely, you're not off track at all. I've done software coding and I've done more testing also. So whenever somebody talks about digital rights, I'm all over the place and I'm within the place. But because I find that, the othering happens so much. I am like one other within the other because I'm like, I say I'm gender fluid, but I'm also a software engineer, software tester, plus, writer and all that. I always say that's why I speak languages which are computer languages and human languages. Okay. So anyway, so coming back to this, what happens is that when you're an other within the other, like I say, I am not non-binary or I am not a non-conforming because first of all, whom are you conforming to? But I'm tired of saying I'm not something. So when I say I'm gender fluid, they're like, oh, you're queerphobic, you're transphobic. I'm like, trans people and queer people are not calling me queerphobic and transphobic. So why are straight people calling me that? Okay. So that is one thing. Okay. And so I think, so the thing is that is because I don't want to occupy somebody else's definition, identity or space. And similarly, I want to have my. That is the smaller part of the thing. The other thing about what Eve was saying about Twitter, or any of the things. See, all these Twitter, Facebook is there in many languages. I remember when Uma was launching Jiva, we've been all together. Many of us here are friends for so long. And we were like, wow, that is going to bring out stuff in Kannada, the local language, because that is what is missing. Okay. So we used to keep going on telling, and that time my Kannada was very bad. But still I was like, oh, we have it in local language. And similarly is the same thing. Like on Sunday, we were doing this digital rights, digital familiarization, digital literacy program for non-English speakers. We had a person who was there who speaks both English and Kannada, but he's rattling off in English most of the time. And I'm telling him like, come and, talk in Kannada because it's not just about talking in Kannada. It is so localized, all the software. Like you have Google in Kannada, Tamil, Hindi, Arabic, Chinese. So please tell people. And sorry to say, but that is perhaps a very straight vibes that part was throwing, So I'm like, yes, sir, but, please, we have to. And then this person apparently went and gave feedback about me saying that this person is interfering. Whereas my community said, no, you're intervening well because you're not, only showing English language screen. Like, this is a perfect example of how, despite localization being available in anything and everything, people don't use it or, you don't keep on, you don't seem to highlight that more. That is one thing. Other thing is, like when we, like for instance, I am of course pro queer rights and pro, but if I specifically say I'm pro Palestine or pro, Kashmir, okay, they will deactivate me. They will or block my account. But if I report on, say transphobism or acephobism or some sexism online, Facebook, I've actually gotten responses from Facebook and Twitter saying, oh, this does not violate our standards. Okay. So which means that actually Facebook and Twitter are queerphobic and transphobic or, anti all marginalizations. But this way, actually, they're trying to separate us. And unfortunately, it's very sad that women's rights movement and feminist movements, which used to support and, because it's like all marginalized get together type of thing. Now it's like the right wing is shamelessly united, happily united, and, setting us against each other types, I mean, they do it very insidiously. Sometimes they do it very blatantly, and they're least ashamed about it. Okay, so yeah, so I had to say all this. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for saying that, because of this is something I have been also thinking about for a very long time, because of we have seen attacks, right? But have we also addressed the chaos happening with us? There are so many characters, right? It's right now right wing is against us, right? But then again, we also creating some narratives about them versus us. They're getting more, us is getting less, right? Because of in our world, not all the things are all the alphabetics, the LGBTIQ are not equal, right? So I was in South Asia. Trans rights are more vocal rather than the LGBT. Right. So I also have been hearing something as oh my God, the trans people are getting rights. So we're going to be a little bit violent with them, right? There have been this kind of notions because of the recognizations they're getting, or there is personal separation that also reflects to that. But then again, this whole right now the rhetoric coming around, I was talking to the part of my community members, and they're came out a little bit transphobic and then say you know what, this is what West is doing to us, because of right now in US and UK, this whole I haven't seen I'm working here for 13 to 14 years. I haven't seen a little transphobic things from my community. Right now in UK, this whole LBQ group, which is very against trans, and this is also coming to our country as well. So whenever we say that no, it's not happening, no, West has power and it shares the power. So right now, whenever I'm hearing this kind of rhetoric about a little bit of anti-trans, we need to figure it out where this is coming from. Exactly. Yeah, where they're referring from, right? We're saying whenever we say okay, what Donald Trump said, that has consequences, right? We also do have this kind of our own people. We say that we are in a spectrum that they speak of us. They also encourage them to say referencing to them. It's yeah, this is what's happening. So I really need to say something about this. We also need to sit down and say what the hell is happening? Right. If there are some tensions going around, we really need to address that. We really do not get back to each other and trying to get each other together and saying that because of it's also money problem as well. Because who getting more funds, right? Who's getting right? Who's getting more acknowledgement? Who can brag about it, or who can go and be in a public space, right? There are a lot of power, money issues. But then again, I'm not going to blame us. I'm going to blame the big corporations. I'm going to tell the who's making the donation, and they're not doing in the grassroots levels, and more likely echoing with you is TikTok, Facebook, and our stuff as well. These are the things also pushing us to so also to reflect into stuff as well. I'm going to share a small story that I was bullied 15 years ago. My picture went viral, it went to groups, and they were very transphobic, like queerphobic stuff as well. I know some people who directly works with Facebook. They're directly said that, like, we are gender equal person. But whenever I reported that and I having this conversation, nothing came out. There's like, they cannot do anything. But how feminist is cancer type groups have like millions of like subscribers, they're taking down again and again and again, but still in Bangladesh, this type of groups are still there. So we need to like in my last session yesterday, I also said that, like, go ask Facebook. You're also like sitting down with like talking about them as well. So make them accountable. We need to like to make sure that like why we are not getting a response to that, right? Like, what is the systematic change you're going to make? Not just blah blah blah, or like invite us like. Nice way and like having conversation or something, do something, right? Rather than like giving us like empty promises.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go back to the Biden rule, right?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think it's such a good conversation, but we need a break also.
We have 1 second. We have one more voice here.
Exactly. So then we go for a break.
Yeah. And then we can go for a break. You wanna?
Yes. I hope I'm audible. Can you all see me?
Yes.
Okay. So since I work on grassroots level, since I and Spurti, both of them are constantly in touch with the poor income queer folks. Okay. And they may, when I call them here, they may not even understand what you all are speaking about. So currently, when I'm working in my organization, what are the cases I receive and what I have also recently gone through, I'm going to tell that. So I did my master's in social work, and most of them have a dream of doing something for the society and changing things. It was a specialization on community development. And I was in some crisis. I had some health issues, and I see one of the person. It was a Christian institution, and I see the person coming and telling to me what they tell it in church. He said, "I'm not a perfect man." It is mentioned in Bible. He even mentioned few chapters, and he said something related to Torah. It is mentioned in Torah who is a perfect man. And if someone is not that, they are sinners. So that's why I'm going through bad phase, is what he said. And I was laughing that, this person is going to become a change maker in the society by studying social work. And I want to talk about caste and religion among the queer folks. From past 8 years, I see among the community, the religion is playing a crucial role. Even though India is secular, I feel each and every one needs to have a secular thought. It is their right. It is also their basic right to follow their religion if they wish to, and it is also a basic right to not follow any religion. It is not unconstitutional, but when it comes to LGBTQIA plus community, I see from the past 8 years or almost 10 years, religion and caste is playing a crucial role. In India, we do have casteism. I think you might have read about it, just like how racism is in the West. And I feel it's really alarming, casteism is coming to the grassroots level, and playing a very bad role. And we see a lot of partner abuses. If it is a trans man, trans woman, or a non-binary person like me, we are seeing a partner, escaping easily because there is no laws being there to protect us properly. As previously said, if we are raped, there is no law for us, to safeguard us. So we get a lot of crisis case. I and Spurti both do get a crisis case where partner is physically harassing them, trying to take the money, and we go to support. We go with lawyers. We file case, and at the end also in the court, we do not get the justice telling that if it is a trans woman who has been harassed, that like she will not get the justice because she's not having a vagina, she cannot reproduce, she's not getting her periods, she does not have like biological breasts. It narrows down to that extent. And I want to further go on to tell that dating app, like dating platform like Bumble, Tinder, Grindr, Hinge, and whatnot. I would tell it's an economical discrimination where again, you are the part of the community. You don't consider to talk or be with someone because there is a huge economic difference. So if they are not casteist, they are not. They have hatred against the working class. They just feel, they just have the thought of like, oh, this person is very much dirty. He doesn't know what his pronouns are. But in local language, we have our own terminologies in Kannada. We do have the pronouns in Kannada also, similar to pronouns. So that person will be knowing that. But it's just that, the post-colonization effect that if someone knows English is considered to be educated. That is also there among the community. I feel it is another threat. And again, when it comes to the media, the online platform, apart from Reddit, I don't feel any other, social media platforms. It might be even Facebook and Instagram, as the other person said. Even if you are from the community, if you are with the right winger, your posts are not deleted. You can post hatred against Muslims. You can post hatred against Christians here, even hatred against Sikhs. But Facebook or Instagram, they don't take any action. That's alarming. I can even name few activists from the community who are right wingers, and whatever they have been posted are not removed. They're not turned down. So, yeah, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
Yeah, two more points I wanted to bring out here. In the mainstream media, nowadays they are looking at their TRP. They are not bothering about marginalized communities. And also there is lots of reality shows is coming up. In the reality shows, they are very badly homophobic and transphobic kind of things they will bringing out. That is very regularly happening, and that is very bad things. And also when we are talking about this thing, community, among the community, already he mentioned so many points. Among the community, they will start dividing kind of things. Like example, Hindu queer collective, Muslim queer collective, and we have Christian collective. This kind of among the community, they will dividing the team. That is also very a bad situation to handle all the things. When we are talking about LGBTQI plus community, we have to come together and we have to fight for our rights, and we have to fight for our dignified life.
No. Using intersectionality to reduce our space even further. Can we take a small break and come back?
Yes. What should we do?
10 minutes?
10 minutes. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I think we need to reduce the temperature.
I don't think I felt like we need popcorn here.
Sorry?
It would be nice.
Oh, okay, okay, you said you're feeling cold, hot, you're feeling hot. I feel,
It's not working.
No, actually in the previous session, someone was feeling very cold. So this was thrown back.
I'm so sleepy. I don't know how I.
What happened? You can just put a swing on.
Yeah, that is better.
Because when we are
wanted to say that we have another, but you might have to move here because your head is blocking the.
Also, we can't see you, Tanveer. Yeah, now we can.
Maybe you move here. Sorry, it's a bit tight space-wise. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think this is okay.
Now I am visible.
Yes.
Yes.
Part of Humaira's face is, but I know how you look, so that's fine.
So we have a friend joining us from Indonesia. Lini, just want to introduce yourself quickly.
Hi everyone, my name is Lini Zurlia and I am based in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Hey, nice to meet you.
I feel like I want to hug all of you.
Virtual hug. So I think we've talked a lot about the challenges, and one thing that came out was the division, right? And I think we talked about external. But now I think let's look a bit more at how our counter strategies are working. Because yes, we know there are a lot of challenges, but there's so much work being done within the movement, and we have to acknowledge that. So just building some of that, I wanted to ask Ellie if you wanted to say something very specifically as well about our cross-movement building, right? And just to say that let's keep it conversational and let's talk about the counter strategies essentially. And we don't have to narrow. I think we don't have to make it so narrow, like we can talk about
Sure.
You know, I just think that this movement collaboration is actually essential for us to engage in this social justice that we all fight for. As we understand the nature and the interconnectedness of oppression and discrimination that our communities face. So I think that as we build solidarity in our movements and we understand our differences, I actually want to speak as an intersex person, how the anti-trans and anti-gender narrative is impacting us. And it's impacting us in various ways. So the LGBTQ community might not be aware of what even intersex is and how different the narratives are for intersex people. I would just use the example that I always use, which is in the US. In the US, these anti-gender narratives that are almost exclusively targeting gender identity and expression, trans people, even drag queens and performance. How that narrative, anti-gender narrative, is actually also creating bills that are restricting access to gender affirming care. But in such laws or bills, they actually advocate or promote surgeries on intersex people. So so as you can see, they don't really care about children. They actually care about sustaining the status quo and keeping the binary and oppressing all marginalized communities. So not many people, even in our movement, mention how that collateral impact is affecting intersex people as we are being eradicated gently and silently in hospitals. And at the same time, when there is a call to eradicate transgender people from the US in several states in this country, like essentially banning being intertrans, and so I just wanted to bring that sense of understanding the differences, as intersex people would like to be avoided or conflated with LGBTQ whenever it is possible, particularly in Africa and Asia and in countries where the LGBTQ community is criminalized. Being intersex, body diversity is not an element of agency in terms of control, expression, or sexuality. It's just natural body diversity, and many communities would like to be not to be conflated. But you need to be strategic on when you use the I, and the I should not be used just for you to check boxes and say, I do work intersex people. If you are not working on intersex people, if you hardly even know what is intersex, don't use the I. Honestly, I think it's honest. It's just honesty. And actually that humility, intersex people really accept it and really embrace, like it really likes when we're like, okay, you don't know anything about intersex, okay, I'm happy even to help you out with that, or actually how can you channel these intersex people that are coming to you to me? Because I do know, even if I'm not specific into what particular issue you want to do, I know about intersex issues, and I could find someone that might know how to help you. So I just want to bring that sort of sense. the same intersex people, as we had this event on bodily integrity and autonomy last year, we actually came together to understand what bodily integrity even means. We all come together, sex workers, women working on sexual reproductive health rights, indigenous communities, we have trans people from the global south, people with disabilities. We have all this, we came all together and we say, what does bodily integrity means to all of us? Because for us, intersex people is the most important element of our advocacy. It's bodily integrity. It's to keep our bodies the way they are, because we are naturally a color manifestation of the multiple shades of bodies. We're just one of those. And so I think it was beautiful to be able to all of us kind of see how we understand this together and how bodily integrity is one of the most important elements of feminist activist feminist principles, because we were in this affirmation of feminist principles. If feminists come to an agreement how such and such things are essential to our activism, such as intersectionality, I think that will help us to actually even frame modern frameworks and ethical frameworks, even for teaching how the artificial intelligence should, understand our identity in our bodies. Because I'm terrified that knowing that artificial intelligence is being built by men, cisgender white Christian men, and how that platform is gonna be actually a channel on how I am understood in this society when I am nothing of what they are. And I don't think they would really understand the spice and colors that come with being this. Okay, so I just want to point that out as well. And I'm sorry, I may have to go earlier. I have another event. So I really appreciate being here. And thank you so much, Mara, for organizing this event. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to have you.
For us to interrogate how, because we all talking about this is the situation. We also have to know why. Now we need to discuss the how. So how are we going to build some solidarity to be able to confront the issues that we're facing? And there's just so much. So as you said earlier on, the one of the main principles of feminism is intersectionality. So let's look at our intersectional where our circles intersect, right? It's all of us get together, all speak one voice, and then this brings us back to again to be the divide and rule conquer. How do we overcome the divide and rule for us to be able to come together to speak in one voice and to speak against the same monster that we're fighting against?
Sorry, I think that's a really, really good point. But also I wanted to ask, Duha, do you have a specific, because as well, I know you work with, on similar issues with intersex, as an intersex person, right? So I just wanted to ask.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You look really beautiful.
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Question again?
So we had one intersex perspective, right?
Yes.
Why don't you also talk about
Okay, collectively. Okay. So I've been thinking about this, and it's a Pandora's box to open up when you talk about intersex Asian movement in a large context, because a lot of time not only are we invisible, but we are erased constantly by a lot of movements that are present out here. And the reason why we are erased is because our collective trauma, collective suffering is not considered queer enough or important enough. And also I feel like our existence itself is categorized into data. A lot of times I've heard people say that, but you are 2.7% of the world population. So you're as common as a redhead person or a redhead person. So why should we even consider you or your existence as a prominent part of the LGBTQIA+ movement? Another thing that contributes to the erasure of intersex people is our selective biasness. We have selective attention to certain parts of the movement and selective attention to other parts of the movement. And I feel like with a lot of intersex people, it is, okay, let's categorize and group them into the trans movement as whole, because in the end, they are just the same. But I constantly say this, and I keep saying this to people who are listening to me right now, is that trans and intersex issues and movements are siblings of each other. They are not twins. We do not have the exact same issues. We have similar issues that overlap with each other, but a lot of times they are in a way different to each other, different in different contexts, different in different countries, different in different ways, how people access medical healthcare, how people access therapy, or how people access education for that matter. I also would like to highlight the fact that the lack of unity within our movements, like it's 2023, but in context of how we see the West queer movement, because a lot of us Indian movements, queer movements, we do go back to the West for reference. We are really codependent on how you frame your legislations and policies around gender, sexual minority rights, and so on and so forth. Like here in India, our collective IHRI does give interact a lot of importance, because we do look back at the terminologies. For example, the latest discourse is PCOS and intersex variation. So, and adopting terminologies from your movement because of the lack of terminologies here, or more like the imposition of colonial terminologies on us, and having no development around vernacular or local terminologies to come up and replace that. Another important thing that I feel that within our spaces or intersex movement in largely is the access to medical diagnosis and medical gatekeeping within the community, is that we have, I do not wish to put out names, but we have people within certain right-wing spaces and Republican spaces, or spaces that says that, get a diagnosis and then we tell you who a real intersex person is. So anything that says that get a diagnosis, are your chromosomes aligned in a certain way, or says that get a fact and then you are allowed to access intersex spaces, is a big red flag and a no go idea for me. I feel like as the person just spoke about how intersex movement is largely connected to invisibilization. I feel that that's very prominent here in India as well, is that we do not have leadership at the topmost level, unfortunately. We also need more of community leaders rather than a hierarchical one person leading the entire narrative, the flock of sheep following that narrative, because it's important that we acknowledge that power comes at a hierarchy, and the person who holds power also holds visibility and representation. And at any given point of time, there is a representation that kind of marks the entire community that follows behind it. So we do need policies, or we do need community leaders who are not only correct about their political discourse, but also understand that body autonomy and self-determination is a fundamental part of intersex movement and other movements at a larger scale. Yeah. Thank you. That's what I want to share.
Fantastic.
Well, I think that was such a good jump off of what we were talking about, and talking about our cross-movement building as a strategy to address all the problems that we've talked about earlier, and at the same time recognizing that we have our differences in terms of perhaps identities, but at the same time our struggles are connected. And so, Lini, I just wanted to ask you as well, especially coming from your point of view, given the anti-rights attacks, given all the different pushback that we're seeing from your perspective as an activist and the work that you do, how do you see some of the strategies, especially in relation to cross-movement building, solidarity and
Thank you, Myra. Hi, everyone. I wanted to echo what you just said earlier, that community leader is important, and to build across movement solidarity is starting with recognizing that everyone is a leader. We cannot see as one person on the top is the leader for our movement or for the bigger movement, but we need to recognize that each of us who involved in the movement is the leader. So we need to start, for me, the important to how it is important to build the cross-movement solidarity is by recognizing that first. And then jump into the conversation on anti-gender rights or gender critical movement from the perspective of cis lesbian person. As a cis person, we have to be at front, you know, when calling out and snapping out anti trans rights or gender critical campaigner. So we have to be like at front because they're using this binary box. And even though, you know, as a cis person, but we are not conformed in that binary system. So we need to be like, hey, our fight is not against men and women, but more on the system that is very patriarchal, very capitalist, very, you know, extractive. So that's, I think that's what I want to start the conversation at this moment, Umaira.
Sure, thanks so much.
Does anyone want to respond to that? Excuse me?
Exactly, we have nothing else.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like
ನಾವ್ ಇವಾಗಷ್ಟೇ ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವಿಷಯಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ನಾವು ತುಂಬಾ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಾಗ ನನಗಾಗಿರೋ ಅನುಭವಗಳನ್ನ ನಾನು ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತೀನಿ. ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದಾಗ ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ, ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ನಮಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಮಗ್ ಬಂದು ಅವರು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವು ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವ ಸಂಘಟನೆಯವರು ಆಗ್ಲಿ, ಯಾವ ಮಹಿಳಾ ಹೋರಾಟಗಾರರಾಗ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ ನಮಗ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂತೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನಮ್ನ ನೋಡೋ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಕೋನ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವಾಗ ತುಂಬಾ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ ಬೇಡ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ನ ಅವಾಗ ನಮ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಿಲ್ಕಿಸ್ ಬಾನು ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಕರಣ ನಾನು ತಗೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಿಲ್ಕಿಸ್ ಬಾನು ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಪ್ರಕರಣ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಬೆದರಿಕೆ ಬಂತು. ನಿಮಗೆ ಯಾರು ಇದನ್ನ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಈ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ, ನೀವ್ ಯಾಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನ್ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಬೆದರಿಕೆಗಳು ಬಂತು. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಮುನ್ನುಗ್ದು. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಈ ದೇಶದ ಪ್ರಜೆಗಳು, ನಾಳೆ ನಮಿಗೂ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಕ್ಕ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿರೋ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಕ್ಕ ತಂಗಿಯರಿಗೂ ಈ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಆ ಉದ್ದೇಶಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಈ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಯಾವ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ಮುಂದೆ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ಇತ್ತು, ಇದು ನನ್ನ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರ್ದೋ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆತರ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಮುಂದೆ ನಿಂತು ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಎದುರಿಸಿದಾಗ ನಮಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಗುರಿನ ನಾವು ಸಾಧಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಸುಮಾರು ಸಲ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಯಾರು ಮುಂದೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಹಿಂದೆನೆ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಮುಂದೆ ನುಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವಾಗ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳನ್ನ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಅನಿಸಿಕೆ.
Thank you so much. And I mean, echoing what Lini said, exactly, we have to be at the front.
Yeah, I think just to link something what she said earlier on, Lini. So I think previously before you arrived.
Yeah.
To say that so when we're organizing ourselves,
Mhm.
we need to be able to fight fire with fire. And so we need to attack what's being attacked.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we see this speaking of cyberspace, how many of us in our movements are able to code, are able to write programs, are able to even formulate our as a media platform, a cyberspace platform to protect our own rights? How many of us are able to have start our own big Googles and Facebooks and all these big multimedia cyber platforms to be able to find the attacks? We can speak our own language. That's something I think if we speak of deconstructing hierarchy, for example, we also need to think of how we rebuild our rights to be able to
Can you say that louder? I feel like you all have started a tiny little group there, but please involve us. Please involve us. I feel like some great conversation is happening there, but we are not tuned in. Sorry. Can't hear you, Mara.
Yeah, now.
Okay, now.
Okay, now?
Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
So
You are really soft, Ricky. I feel like.
Maybe now.
Yeah, now can. Yes.
So I was just reinforcing what Lenny was saying earlier on. So I totally agree with you and agree with the other speakers that we need to deconstruct the hierarchical system within ourselves because everybody's a leader, right? But then I was repeating to Lenny that earlier on I mentioned that we in ourselves need to rally the troops around cyberspace and cyber information and cyber skills. So we need to be able to do our own coding, write our own programs, form our own online systems that can speak to what's happening at Google, what Google's doing, what Facebook is doing. We need to be able to write our own apps, to say this app is will help the queer movement do whatever it is. I've been very encouraged to see in the United States there are a few very small pockets of development when it comes to the creation of apps. I know, like in DC, at Howard University, there's a queer group. They have their own app around how they like safe spaces for them to go to, for example. To go and have a drink or whatever. So that's a small example, but thinking on a bigger scale, can we create an app that will, I don't know, help us fight sexism, or something, I think let's think at that level, because these conversations are going round and round. We're all saying the same thing. We're all facing the same discrimination. Be you in Bangalore, India, be you in Brazil, be you in Africa, be you in Pakistan, South Asia, we already are facing the same system of oppression, which is really patriarchy, it's really sexism. So then what is it that we are doing as a homogenous group? Instead of fighting against each other, the L's are fighting against the B's, against the Q's, there's casteism happening in India, it's all over the world. And by us fighting with each other, we're not doing anything. So we need to rally with each other and see how best we can fight the system. I'll hand it over to my colleague.
Yeah, and I want to add to that because
louder.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that because I think we talk a lot about how our opposition divides us. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We talk a lot about how the opposition. We talk a lot about how the opposition divides us, but we don't talk about how we divide ourselves.
Right.
And I think something that's standing on the way for us to advance as LGBTIQ plus and all the things we want to be is the understanding that we need to work in solidarity also within our movement, and identity politics, I think, served a huge purpose, and I think you highlighted one of them. That is the importance of highlighting the issues, the specific issues, the specificities of each of our communities, building agendas, building advocacy agendas, sensitizing governments around it. But now we are at the stage of violence and oppression, and some of our communities, particularly the trans communities, and of course the intersex, are splashed by this whole anti-trans narrative that will inevitably impact all of us. We need to work together more than ever. And I think part of it is undoing a little bit of our identity politics. And I think people here in this group mentioned, I think it was Ali, the importance of working on common themes and common issues.
Yeah.
The things that matter for us the most, right? Like we're not talking about basic things like poverty. Like poverty impacts all LGBTI people. It impacts sex workers. It impacts people with disability. Like, why are we not talking about poverty? Why are we talking about how we, my gender? I'm kind of tired of talking about my gender. And, I want to talk about poverty, and I want to talk about the themes that are the same for all of us, and leverage our support in those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Does anyone want to speak to that?
Yeah.
Please.
Sorry. No, sorry. Yeah, actually, sorry to say this, but
see you. You're only a voice.
okay. I think that
It's feeling really cold here.
yeah.
You are.
Okay, I'll come here. Okay. Thanks. Oh my gosh, I actually always work on being heard than seen, but yeah, fine. All right. Yeah. By the way, special hi again to Tanveer, because I met two of your colleagues from Monroe in a conference in Pattaya last year.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. So okay, fine. Connect with you later. Sorry. Sometimes losing my voice by trying to project my voice. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. So what I was saying, also sort of like, we are echoing similar sentiments, and actually even during the break, we were like, oh my gosh, everything that people are saying in this, is powerful, is poignant, and very, very real, because it's like we are using so-called colonial language, English, but we keep saying that the word trans woman does not suit our indigenous identities or, our cultural systems and stuff like that. And similarly, as an asexual person, I struggle to say the same thing in the languages that I have grown up speaking. I learned English in school and college, of course, but I would rather like to say it in all the Indian and the South Asian languages, and it's very difficult. And it looks like, and I myself discovered the term like few years ago, and it's like some people think that Ritash has suddenly become asexual. No, I knew about this in my pre-teens, but I didn't know how to articulate it. Okay, so somewhere that is why I think sometimes with the newer identities, terminologies coming to the fore, and I don't mean to speak for intersex people, but since we all closely hang out and do things together, we find that it's sometimes easier to bracket all ourselves under queer and trans, rather than talk about the individual and specific challenges that we within, say, the queer or the broader marginalized groups and movements have. And somewhere I'm thinking that perhaps that is the reason why, already the spaces and voices for us are so shrunk and even further shrinking. And it is like each of us is trying to put our things forward. And unfortunately, because of that, while trying to stand in solidarity with each other, sometimes each one thinks that the other is competing or getting that space more, whereas actually that is not our intention. Okay. And of course, sometimes what can you do with the right-wingers within the movement? The hidden right-wingers who come to the fore and very proudly, right? That is why, like sometimes like when Trump was winning, or here, why think of Trump, the blessed right-wing government or the not so blessed right-wing government we have, Indian, in
our supreme leader.
Yeah, actually, Not our. I don't mind Supreme Leader at all.
I love what you said, not our.
So we have them for 8 years, and they keep on openly, shamelessly doing anything. Like lynching is something which we've learned from. I feel that lynching was not there. Now lynching Dalits and Muslims has become like almost their favorite tool to. And when that is happening, like Spurti said, sometimes we are hesitant to go there because we are also fearing for ourselves. Like somebody finds out. So I'm not giving a justification, but I'm trying to reason out perhaps this is why, or this is how they're dividing us very openly. And, it is not easy, but I just feel that somewhere this is happening so blatantly. And, all the courage and strength and solidarity which we have built, sometimes maybe we have to think a little. Anyway, we people are supposedly, outside the spectrum. So let us also think outside of the mainstream marginalization. Sorry to say this, but it's like a mainstream marginalization which is happening.
Can I add to
that's
what you're saying?
Thanks. Yeah, that's
just
all.
just to strengthen what you said.
I finished. And
I know that there was some conversation like, why don't we look at poverty or, you know, here where we are in our context, it's so difficult to remove caste and say queerness out of poverty. I feel like we keep going back to identity because even our harms are so intersectional, right? Like we are being pitted against each other, not as queer people only, but also as like different castes, different classes. So I feel like while our troubles stem from identity politics, even our solutions to some, at least that is, I think that the understanding within this room, even our solutions to some extent feel like identity based. Does that make sense? Like I feel like there's a little context difference here. Like if we were to talk about poverty, we would probably go back to caste. We have no option but to go back to caste. Given these fault lines, Umaira, please. I feel like
no. I just wanted to say that we have 1 minute left. Actually, it's very sad. But can you finish your point and then you can conclude, because I also, do you want to conclude? Or
I feel like you're like, okay, no, I'm kidding. I'm just being myself. I'm being myself. No, I feel like if we can just go around the room and just talk about like where we see, maybe in one word, where we see certain intersections really helping us figure out cross movement, like just a word or maybe 3 words, where we see certain pieces intersecting. How can we do cross movement collaboration? I know you all said advocacy. That sounds so amazing, but what else? Can you all start and then we can do one person?
They first.
Okay.
No,
okay.
Okay. I'll respond
Did
to
I
that.
surprise you? I'm sorry.
No. But from my own experience, that we cannot work on silo. So starting to infiltrate civil society movement, broader civil society movement, is the best way to start to build the cross movement.
I feel like New York, your words are over. Sorry.
I'm also thinking, going back to our truth, because when we started all this, before any of this, we were fighting a system. We were fighting we were fighting capitalist system. So going back to that would create solidarity and cross movements.
Yes. 1 second. So we need to consider the SDGs, intersectionality, the sustainable development goals, which affect everybody. I think that's where we need to look at, and everything.
I think we need to talk more. We need to
Say
gather.
that again. I feel like we lost you.
Talk more, gather more. And I had something else to say, but I'm rushed, so I can't remember.
Wow, we lost the connection, I think.
I would say that like I'm from South Asia, Bangladesh, so all the time colonization has impacted. So then again, colonization has impacted the whole world. So we really need to decolonize.
Right.
Yes.
Decolonize. Start with decolonizing, delinking the colonial thinking. Then we can start a movement.
Umaira, do you want to add your word?
No thoughts, go ahead.
Okay. Duha.
Okay, it's a sentence. No liberation for us without liberation for all of us.
Yeah.
Yes. Ritash.
Reclaim.
Oh, you stuck to the brief. Okay.
Reclaim.
One word.
ಸಿ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಒಂದು ಗಿಡ ಬೆಳೀತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಜಿಗ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದೇ ತರ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ದೌರ್ಜನ್ಯ ಆದ್ರೂ ಅದು ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು.
Did you all get it?
No, we didn't use the.
Can you just?
Yeah. Uma was saying that if we are sprouting as a seed, okay, and then becoming a tree, there will be attacks, assaults, whatever, someone to pull us down, put us down, but still we have to keep growing while struggling against that. Otherwise, I mean, there's probably no other way.
Yeah, okay.
I would say revolution.
Nice. One word.
ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳನ್ನ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸತತವಾಗಿ ಹೋರಾಟಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ.
Please go for it.
Continue the protest and the revolution. Keep the protest going. Keep the
Yeah. I remembered. Do the homework. We need to do the homework of understanding each other.
Yes.
Do the
Amazing. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
You know, like,
Big hugs. It's so late for us. So thank you for having us in our current state.
yeah, this is so fabulous. Like, can we sit here on the floor, make a picture with you?
But we have another session, so we have to rush a bit. Can somebody take? Sorry. Sorry.
Please make the picture because I don't think no one has.
I'm going to.
That's how queer ideas work. That's how queer brains work.
We are gonna.
The room is separate.
No.
And we can
This is
airdrop
the only session.
Oh, okay.